I would just like to welcome you all for the final presentation of the data analysis model for the Master in Business Strategy. And this actually, as I was remembering a few minutes ago with Matteo, this is the 5th edition that we are challenging students with this data analysis project. And doing this model, we had a set of professors and lecturers trying to acquire different techniques and tools to use to collect, analyze, interpret, and communicate data. And we did this not only from a technical perspective, we did it also trying to improve some soft skills. So public speaking, teamwork, dealing also with time pressure. That was particularly challenging. And also the language was another bonus in all the module, especially for this presentation. And I must say that during these 5 years, this particular model has improved. We have tried each year to increase the knowledge, the competencies, and the tools that you could use. So I think that each year we're getting better in this, matching also what the market, the job market actually asks today from someone in a company. Whatever the position, whatever the actual job, everyone should be able to manage data, to analyze it, and to communicate what information this data is telling us. And I think that now you have acquired the basic skills to do it. Obviously, you can still improve in this point. And just to give a brief introduction to our guests, I would like to outline that the students have been given a data set related to patent application, quite a huge data set, because these patent applications were from, I think, 1990 to 2016, related to European regions. So they had to manage quite a few numbers. And they were called just in a few days, because you had quite limited time, I must admit, to analyze this data set and to provide an insightful analysis. And I would like just to thank Matteo Pasquini to having organized and planned all this model and set all our schedule together with different professors and schedule. That was quite challenging. Sabrina, especially also for believing in this project from the beginning, because obviously it's quite challenging to put in a class together different backgrounds. Not all of you are experts on these topics. Some of you have never seen an Excel file ever or managed statistical tools and formulas. So obviously that was something quite challenging to do. And I will also thank and then obviously send these best wishes for you, Professor Diego Dadda for the Technical University of Macchia, that actually has provided you the data set and has come here also to check on your project development. So obviously if he can, he will come by also to say hello to you, but obviously you will receive your presentation and he knows the level that you reached up to now, so he's very happy for it. So I think that we can start directly with the first presentation. I thank also our audience, which actually are professors that have been actively involved in the model, particularly Giovanni Pelonghini, and we have Andrea Moetti and so on. And some students have also used some of the specific tools that have been actually introduced by these professors. So we can start with the first team. Good luck.
Hi, I am Giacomo, and today I'm going to introduce you to the presentation and the project made by my team, which is composed also by Lucia, Emanuele, Filippo, and Niko. So today we're going to talk about patents as an indicator of innovation. But first, what is a patent? Let's define the concept of patents. Basically, a patent is a type of intellectual property that gives to the owner the right to exclude other people from making, using, and selling an invention for a limited period of time. The application processes to validate a patent could last possibly years before the owner to have the actual patents validate. So that's the main reason why we choose to analyze just the patents application and not the actual number of patents in the European context. Why we talk about patent as an indicator of innovation? That's mainly because we can see patent as a tool to make everyday life much easier, and they can be useful to empower the productive processes. New patents can also lead to new markets and new commercial possibilities. And finally, they can be seen as the intellectual wealth and the cultural wealth of a country. And that's why we think that patents are so important in modern economy and modern society. And that's what's also Europe think about patents. And I say that because Europe developed a project, the RISE project, with the only purpose to increase the number of patents in the European countries. So before going to the general part, we analyze the mainly two sectors, the wearing and the textile sector. And before going to the specific part, let's see how is it going in Europe with my colleague, Lucia.
Thank you, Giacomo. First of all, we looked at the total number of patents starting from 2000 to 2013. And we found out that Germany is the best country in patent development with more or less 900,000 patent application. And Germany is followed by France, United Kingdom, Italy, and the Netherlands. And our descriptive analysis tells us that the number of patents is quite spread in each country. And this configure a scenery of great variety in quantity, but also in composition, as you can see from this pie chart. And the best sector and the sector with the greatest number of application is this one, B, performing operation and transporting, with 22% of the total of patent application, while textiles and paper, which is sector D in the international patent application classification, accounts only for 2% of the total. If we consider subsectors, we discovered that the most developed one is medical science, which is part of the human necessities sector, and it accounts for 173,000 patent applications, which is more or less 8% of the total European patent applications. And for the last part of our general analysis, we chose a series of key factors that, according to us, were most capable of explaining increases in the number of patents. And first, we select gross domestic product on research and development. Second, quotas of private investments on total investments. And we discovered that a great incentives in patents comes from the need of protecting intellectual rights. And especially, this is especially true in the wearing and apparel sectors, which are the specific sectors that we selected and we will analyze later on. Third one, the number of researchers in each country. And last one, the number of trademarks. And we found a correlation between trademarks and patents. And this is especially true when we talk about trademarks and wearing patents. So it's even higher in this case. And now that we conclude with the general part, I can leave the floor to my colleague Emanuele, which will present the specific one in which we consider only two sectors.
Good morning, everybody. Textile and wearing sectors. The reason behind our choice is multivariate. We have three particular reasons for choosing these two sectors in particular. First one, there is a growing importance in textile and wearing sectors. Wearing now includes sportswear, workswear, bedding, and other products that are part of our everyday life. On the other side, textiles is about all the raw materials behind the aforementioned products. And so today, wearing is much more than just a basic human need, and the purchase per capita per year has increased in the last 30 years from 6 kilograms, from an average of 6 kilograms to an average of 13 kilograms. The second reason of our choice is the matter of sustainability, because it is estimated that the 10% of the total CO2 emissions comes from the production of clothing, the production of wearing. And so we think that developing a deeper synergy between textile and wearing also means to reduce wastage and to reduce this quota of CO2 emissions. In fact, there is a strong synergy between these two sectors, as we will see with our results. And we can see that the best results in both sectors comes from innovation in both sector A41, wearing, and sector D01. These are the IPC's code. And here we have the total number of patents in sectors D01 and A41 from 2000 to 2013. We can see that these numbers are quite similar in comparison to other IPCs, though D01 generally has more numbers has a greater number of patents than sector A41. But we calculated a statistic correlation between these two patents, and there is quite a strong correlation. So generally, we will see that countries who develops patents in sector A41 also generally develops patents in sector D01. These are the top 5 countries in the development of textile and wearing patents. We can see that Germany is the leader. It has a greater number in sector D01 textile than wearing sectors. However, it is quite an exception, because if we see the other top 5 countries, we have Netherlands, United Kingdom, France, Italy, the numbers are quite similar. But are these countries specialized in these areas? This is an important question. And we used the Balassa Index in order to have an answer. The Balassa Index is a useful tool for calculating the weight of a specific sector of production, a sector of innovation in general, in regard to a general area. And so we can use the index of Balassa for calculating, for example, the weight of wearing in a particular region in regard to a country or in regard to European Union in itself. And we started to do so on a country level. We had, as the most specialized countries in the wearing sector, countries that actually, exception made maybe for Italy, countries that actually develops a very limited number of patents every year. In this map, we have all the regions that had the priorities in wearing according to RISE project. If we go to see the specialization in the textile sector, we once more see that we have countries with a limited amount of patents over the years. But if we again check the priorities in textile sectors related to RISE project, again, we will see that more or less we have the same regions as before. And so regions which had priorities in wearing sector also have priorities in textile sectors. Now I leave the floor to Filippo, who will go on with our regional analysis. Thank you.
Thanks, Emanuele. Good morning to all. In order to analyze better the trends that Germany, France, and the United Kingdom have had in textile and clothing sector, we turn our analysis to a regional level using the Balassa Index. So, from our analysis, we obtained that in Germany, the most productive regions in textile sector are also in wearing, but the specialization is different because we have in the north this orange region, the North Rhine-Westphalia specialized in both categories. In the south, Bavaria specialized only in wearing sector, and in the center, Baden-Württemberg specialized only in textile sector. In England, the situation is different because we have the most productive region. The most productive region are specialized in both categories only in the center of England. So we have from the highest Yorkshire, Lancashire, Derbyshire, and Marwyshire. And in the south, the region are specialized only in wearing sectors, and we have Surrey, Sussex, and Hampshire. In France, the situation is that the three most productive regions in textile and wearing are specialized in both categories. So we have in the north, Hauts-de-France, l'Alsace, Rhône-Alpes, and we put in the map also Ile-de-France because it hosts Paris, the capital of fashion. So in conclusion, we can say that only few regions have achieved their targets, and the most specialized regions coincides with the major fashion centers like Paris, Milan, and Munich. And the region that produce a higher number of patents in textile do also in wearing. So I leave the floor to Niko for the conclusion.
Thank you, Filippo. To sum up, at first, we looked at the general analysis that showed us that the number and type of paints are widely spread and varied in Europe. Second, we moved on a local level, focusing on textiles and wearing sector, monitoring the best performing regions, their level of the specialization and their potential priorities. Eventually, we discovered that the best results are a matter of few regions localized in Germany, United Kingdom, and France, which are generally specialized in both textile and wearing sector. In conclusion, data speaks clear. We need a stronger synergy between the two sectors and deeper optimization of productive processes in order to move forward to sustainable and innovative model. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Carmela, and this is my group that is composed by Giovanna, Giorgia, Cristian, and obviously me. Our topic is transport patents, but then we will also analyze the weight on innovation. Before to start, it is very important to underline the method that we have adopted to lead our analysis. First of all, the period analysis goes from 2000 to 2013, and we had such a decision because after the 2013, we registered a big drop of emission of patents, maybe can be due to a lack of data logging. Concerning the geographical area, we have analyzed the 28 EU countries by considering also the UK that in that period was still part of the Union. As a unit of measure, we adopted the share, but we have also other sources such as the OECD database and also the Eurostat database, from which we have taken all the data we have analyzed. It is also important to underline that for the graphic and visual presentation, we adopted some specific software such as Gretel, Power BI, and R. To start with the analysis, it is important to specify that we adopted a kind of funnel analysis. That means to start with a general study of a topic in order to reach a specific detail by following different steps, and we went always deeper. The first part of our presentation focuses on the general trend of application of patents, and we studied this phenomenon on a European level. In fact, from the graph A, we can observe a negative general trend of emission of patents in the entire European Union, and there is a variation of -2.58% from the 2000 to 2013. We also registered a maximum value of 83,000 in 2000, while a minimum value registered in 2005, and it's about 79,000. Then we focus the attention on the general trend of application evaluated on the single European EU countries. So we analyzed the number of emission of patents from each of the countries that we have studied. From the graph B, it is important to put in evidence that Germany has the absolute leadership over all the other countries, and it is a strong difference, but it is also important to underline that among all the EU countries, there are very big differences on demographic and territorial level. After this general analysis, we will go deeper and deeper on it, thanks to Cristian that will present us the topic, the specific topic that we have analyzed. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmela. Perfect. Okay. Okay, now we start analyze the sector of the application of patents. So we had some sectors, but the best in a historical view and also for the importance is the performing operation and transporting. As the graph show, we can see how in 2013 this sector values 30% more than the second category. So also with the historical trend highlights the importance of this sector. why we are choosing transporting? Transport is important because it's a target of innovation strategies of the country we analyzed, and also now and for the future, it could have an important roles in a sustainable challenge for the next time. Also in internationalization world, internationalized world, the role of time is very important. So the connection for the goods and people, it's very important and could be the factor of the success of some countries. So we can define transporting like a driver of territorial cohesion and a driver of competitiveness. As the graph D shows us, the trend is positive. Between 2000 and 2013, we have a trend of plus 4.9%. And so we can see the difference with the general trend of patients' application that is negative. In this case, the trend is positive. Now, this graph, we show the best 10 countries for the application in transporting. We have Germany, France, and Italy, like the best three. We need to underline like Italy overcome UK during this analysis period. So while in the principal list of total share of application, United Kingdom was third, in transporting Italy overcome UK, and Italy now it's third. It's important also to see how Germany is the most relevant country, and the data is of the total share of Germany. It's like 41 times the total share of Denmark. So this is relevant and important. Now we analyze the correlation of the application of transport patients between some indicators. We built our personal data set with Eurostat database, OECD database. So we choose some indicators like GDP, like the percentage of research and development over GDP, and the occupation level. We also insert other two indicators like energy environment that correspond to the emission of CO2 per million of GDP. So more the country is big and the GDP is big, this data show us the emission of CO2. And the last indicator is investments on infrastructure, in particular in land infrastructure. From this analysis, we can see while transport patents doesn't have correlation with GDP, R&D, and occupation, there is a strong correlation with the emission of CO2 and investment. On one end, the correlation with the emission of CO2 is a problem, because this matrix shows us like transport patents increase, also the emission of CO2 increase. While for the investments is typically when a country invests in infrastructure, there is more correlation with the number of application of this type of patients. Now I will leave the floor to Giovanna that will analyze the subcategory of transporting. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Good morning, everybody. And so we go ahead with the, we start to to understand which are the subcategory of transportation. And as you can see by the slide, you can see that there is general vehicles, railways, landway vehicles, and go ahead. By this analysis, we was curious to understand which are the most heavy number of application on this subcategory. And we saw that general vehicles, railways, and land vehicles are more than 10,000 application. And over there, we also start to go on zoom on the analysis by the region, the European region, about this category. And we saw that the 70% of the German region are the most applied patents on Europe. Then there is a 20% of Italian region, and then at the end, there is 10% of French region. Go ahead more deeply. After this, we was curious also to understand which are the region most specialized in some of these subcategory, and we calculated with the Balassa index that, as the team before explained to you, is like a statistical indicator that allowed us to calculate the specialization, the region's specialization, sorry, by correlating the patents on that kind of category with all the patents emitted by the European regions. After this, we saw that on land vehicles, so we have two regions, one in Romania and one in France, that detain this specialization. Sorry. And for the aircraft and cosmonautical, there is French with Midi-Pyrenees. Has the we can do like an example. There is Airbus company that is in Blagnac in the Midi-Pyrenees region, that has a really detain the specialized on this subcategory. And also during these 13 years, 20 to 2013, we can see that the number of application of patents that made on this sector made possible on 2019, aircraft surpassed the company, the American company, that is the Boeing, the one that made Boeing. So this is another aspect of how is important application, application and investing on patents on the economics and also on the development of a country. After this, we saw also on the other two is packing, storing, handling, that is Italy with Emilia Romagna, that is called also the packaging valley, because they attain the higher number of application, and this is why is a specialized region, and also in Bulgaria with the Severin. And for ship and other vessel was Greece, and not Greece, but the region of Greece. And then there are the three more hosting, hauling, jar, and saddlery. That there is, for the first one, Helsinki, Finland. The second one was Yuzen in Bulgaria. And the last one is Principado de Asturias, de España. Of this, after this analysis, we also have to consider that for the first two category, that was vehicles in general and railways, we didn't find a specialized region, because we saw that more or less this, with Balassa, the specialized region was two regions so so small that made only that patents. So there is no correlation between country and region. And this is why we didn't decide to put inside, because maybe there are sometimes the Balassa index is a relative index. So for this reason, we cannot take as a value, absolute value. And for conclusion, I leave the floor to Giorgia.
Thank you, Giovanna. Good morning, all. And to conclude the discussion, we can affirm that there are some countries in an European level. These countries that meet the biggest number of patents in all categories. As we expected, these countries are those who have a major importance in the political and economical field. Concerning our topic is the transport sector. It is strongly supported by the big European project, RIS3, created in 2011. RIS3 is the acronym of National Research and Innovation Strategies for Smart Specialization. And this project is based on 3 principles. These principles are the smart growth. The second principle is the inclusive growth. And the last one principle is the sustainable growth. According to us, that is the sector, the transport sector, is strongly a strong correlation between this principle and our topic. For this reason, we consider it important to analyze our topic in terms of innovation. This RIS3 is supported by the by this project, and according to us, there is a strong correlation. So our final consideration is that investment on this sector will lead to a real economical growth, as France and Germany have already done, and maybe it will conduce all EU countries atop among in the other world competitors. If there are okay, we prepared for you a QR code in which you find the data and the analysis. We find 4 dashboards that resume our analysis. Thank you for your attention, and have a nice day.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to present my group composed by Nina, Jacopo, Claudia, and Francesco. Today, we will talk about the water treatment in the European area. Our analysis is divided into several themes, and after the introduction to the topic, we will describe our general analysis, then the patents that belong to the C02 category sector, the one related to chemistry, and water treatment in particular. And then we will make a focus on Italy, Germany, and Latvia. And finally, we're gonna tell you our conclusion with some of our suggestions and hypotheses. The questions that originate our reflection concern the use of water resources in the European area. As you can read from the slide, Europe is consuming its key water resources. The scarcity of these is a phenomenon that has seriously affected our territory for more than 20 years now. So Europe is have a need to protect one of its most important resources, water. But how is Europe managing water crisis? However, Europe is trying to solve the problem using innovation and technologies. The period that we take into analysis from 2001 to 2014 is in fact characterized by a general growth in patents. These features is functional to the improvement of the current situation, especially if we consider it specifically for the C02 sector. This analysis has in fact shown us that the sector, the C02 sectors, has been considerably intensified, maybe and probably for both economical and sustainability reasons. The factor that should come as a positive surprise regarding the emergency of the scarcity of water resources is that of the S3 priorities that are smart specialization strategies established by the European Union. The Union's priority have also included those related to water treatment, water waste, and sustainability. So we studied patents because they are indicator of measuring the performance of each state in the whole Eurozone that we analyzed. And talking about our methodology, we made an analysis based on a given database provided to us by ISTAO, and we used the share as unit of measure. Then we made a quantitative analysis with a diachronical approach from 2001 to 2014. After that, we made a statistic analysis using Excel and RStudio softwares. And finally, we consulted European reports, European database, such as Eurostat. And finally, we read official websites and newspapers articles. Now I leave the floor to my colleague Nina that will explain us our data. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Now we can see the map of the number of patents on the macro period of 2001 and the 2014 of we're analyzing the sample failure of the number of the analysis we are registered on this country. We have at the top Germany, and the second follows by France, UK, Italy, and the end the Netherlands. We have issues the highest number of patents we have at the central countries of Europe. Why do not have some levels as others of countries of Eastern Europe? But we have analyzing this process with another slide. We have divided our macro period in two periods, and the first period we consider 2001 and 2007, and we have divided, we have analyzed the countries which has registered more patents and this history period. In this graph, we put the 10 of the countries which have the highest number of registered patents. The first we have Germany, followed by France, UK, Italy, and Netherlands, and Sweden. We saw the fourth of the place we have Italy. It's 50,000 patents we are registered, and the bottoms of this we have the Malta and Cyprus. We don't put on the graphs, but is the countries of West European
countries. And another periods, macro periods, it's the years of 2008 and 2014, and this and in this case we show we have the some of analysis data of the first, because we have at the top the Germany, and this case we have the German 220,000 patents in these periods of German. And another our periods analysis shows the countries which patents creation increase don't correspond to the countries that filed more patents. This variation we have put the two macro periods and analyzed this fact. In this, the highest increase of this, we have the top of countries that had the highest increase is at the top we have Poland with 215%, Estonia 142%, Romania 143%, Latvia 19%, and Czech Republic 61%. Another variation of this, we analyze the decrease of the countries, and we observe in these slides we have the Central European countries, and the first we have UK, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Croatia, and Malta. And another analysis we do on this graph, and we put on this graph the bears. The bears, it's signified the type of sector, and we have devices types of sector. The lowest number of the sector we have textiles and paper, and the highest number we have at the B, and this sector is the performing operation transporting. Our sector we analysis is the C. This sector we will be study deep less. And now I can leave the floor of my colleague Jacopo.
Now we are going to focus our attention to the specific C02 sector that concern the treatment of water. In this slide, we can more easily see the number of patents per country in this sector over the whole period. Light blue tones belong to the countries with a lower number of patents, while darker blue tones belong to the countries with a higher number. So how the slide tell you, Central Europe issues the highest number of patents, and Eastern Europe still do not have the same level as the others. In the following graph, we can see the C02 patents, number of patents in the specific of this sector, filed by all the countries we consider over the whole period. As the picture shows, the countries with the most number of patents in this specific sector is Germany, and the second is France, the third is the United Kingdom, the fourth is Italy, and the fifth is Netherlands. It is important to note that how you can see, France, although second, is the half distance to the Germany, that is the first in the ranking. In this country, in this graph, we can see the best 5 countries that issue C02 patents. And how you can see, the first is another time Germany. And it has had a decrease from one period to another. And the second is another time France, that has for Italy and Netherlands, as you can see, presents an increase to the year 2008 to 2014. In conclusion, in this slide, we can also see the total number of the patents that the countries presents in the 2 periods, that is more than 4,200. Okay, this graph represents the yearly trend of patents compared to the number of regions. The trend of the 2 values taken into account remains more or less stable over time. However, there are years in which both of the values have undergone important changes. For example, in 2012, there is a significant decrease of the values of the regions, but at the same time, there is an increase, a significant increase of the value of the total patents. Okay, in this last slide, we shows the result of the calculating Balassa index. That is the degree of specialization of a given country in relation to all the patents issued by all the countries that we analyze. And as you can see, the first country, the most specialized country, is Latvia, with a specialization index of 8.47. And it should be noted that the distance from the first and between the first place and the second place of the ranking is more than double. Here we want to do a look on Germany, not only because everyone usually see this country as one of the most efficient and advanced in the European Union, but also because is the country leading in our sector, and so we want to compare it with Italy. And at the last, we are looking to Latvia and analyze the why. It is the most specialized country, and we show it in the next few slides. And we are looking to Germany. We can see that the index of Balassa is less than 1. So that means that Germany is not specialized in this sector, while Italy has an index of Balassa of 1.20. That it means that it's equivalent to a higher degree of specialization. The particular feature that emerges from this analysis is that the top countries in this sector, in the C02 sector, is the European countries. Thanks, and now I can leave the floor to my colleague Claudia.
Thank you, Jacopo. In the next few slides, we will go deeper and understand why Germany, Italy, and Latvia are important in this sector. As Jacopo told you, we want to understand why Germany is the leading country in our sector, that is C02. As we were telling you, this sector concerns the treatment of water and wastewater. And we analyzed the trend over the years. Germany has got more or less an increasing trend until 2013, when starts a decreasing trend. Italy, before that year, has got a more stable trend, but also starts a decrease in 2013. What is strange is that Latvia starts an increasing trend in 2013. So, of course, Germany is the leading country for the number of issued patents. Italy is like in the middle, and Latvia is starting to increase in these years. In these slides, we want to understand if the difference that undergoes between Italy and Germany depends on GDP. Actually, we discovered that it does not depend on GDP for the number of patents issued in the C02 sector, because the trend is similar. So the reason why it cannot be found in GDP. We want also to understand what is the situation inside the Italian regions. So here you can notice that in this list, we have the northern Italian regions on the top. Here you can see the regions that issue the most major number of C02 patents from 2009 to 2011. And if we go deeper and study the period from 2011 to 2014, we can notice that the number of regions has been decreased, but also Lombardia is still on the top. So we can say that the situation changes, but actually not so much. As Jacopo were telling you before, we wanted also to understand why Latvia is the most specialized country. Of course, these are just our hypotheses. They're based on some data. We took the Eurostat databases data, and we are analyzing here the most recent ones, the one concerning 2018. We took into consideration 4 databases, the one concerning the water exploitation index, water productivity, population that is connected to at least secondary wastewater treatment, and also the population that doesn't have access to toilet facilities. Why we took into consideration this index? We think that Latvia has got water, and using this water can create a value and a productivity. And this productivity can also have an impact of the society and on the population. So we analyze, for example, the water exploitation index. So this index concerns the water that is abstracted from the ground and give it back to the environment. For Latvia is 0.22, so it's a good percentage, but the alarming data is for Italy. Italy has got a percentage of 15%, and should be noticed that a percentage more than 20% means water scarcity. So this means that maybe in the future, Italy will undergo on a scarcity of water. If we give a look to the water productivity is how much economic output a cubic meter of water can produce. For Latvia, the trend is really increasing starting from 2009. We have a more than 55% of the value. If we look to these last 2 data, the one concerning the population connected to at least secondary wastewater treatment is the population that have access to wastewater treatment done by biological process. And also for Latvia, the trend is very increasing starting from 2009. And it reached in 2018 the 98%. Actually, the alarming data for Latvia is the one for the population that doesn't have access to the toilet facilities, because it's 13.5, it's very high compared to Italy and Germany, which percentage really doesn't make sense, we can say, in this index. So our conclusion about this is that Latvia can produce productivity and can also give some benefits to the population. In these slides, also, we want to understand if Latvia and Italy and Germany, of course, have put in their S3 priorities the water treatment, our sector C02. Actually, we discovered that just Latvia, unfortunately, decided to put this as a priority in S3 project. Also, we discovered that some regions are participating to an important project called Water Smart Territories. It's a project related to innovate the water management inside the European countries. Latvia is participating with all the entire regions, while for Italy, there is Lombardy, the region we mentioned before as the first one issuing patents in our sector, and also a region from Germany. Also, it's important to notice that Latvia is investing in a blue economy. It's a priority field for Latvia and also a priority field for the European Union policies. Now, I will give the floor to my colleague Francesco that will show you our conclusions.
Thank you, Claudia. So in our project, we have seen some limitation to the research. There were the scarcity of data in a recent historical period, and it was hard to find additional info and data about the all European regions. So the conclusion we draw, it's only hypothesis, and because with the scarcity of data we have, we cannot obtain certainty. We draw 3 key points that describe the water of change. The first is transition to reach sustainability, to bring a real and a competitive advantage. The second one is changes. Changes are possibilities. Changes in which, in our case, is a new patent. Must be seen as a possibility, not as obstacles. The third is the compare to succeed. Is evaluating the impact of innovation in the European country to find out the best case and implement it in the other areas. Before we finish the presentation, we would like to give you 2 examples from Italy, in particular for Lombardy, which my colleagues previously reported is the first region in Italy for the C02 patent category. The first example is from a company in Bergamo. It's called EuroTSA. In 2020, in July 2020, has patented a new system that can save water to farmers without the use of pollutants, and but only use using a 100% plant source. And the second one is from Enea, is a research on wastewater treatment. They give significant savings in total energy consumption. They give a lower operation cost and a greater efficiency in the biological process for removing pollutions. So in conclusion, change, therefore possible. It's only up to us to implement it. Thank you for your time.
Okay, I know that we had scheduled the coffee break, but I propose something else. Why don't we conclude and then enjoy our time later, okay? And have a break throughout all the rest of the morning, which is better, I would say. As all, I want to really say thank you to you guys, all of us. In fact, I did a list of big thank yous before, but obviously big thank you goes for you for all the effort and the commitment that you showed during the course and that you have proved today with your presentations. So I think you really could be proud of you at this stage. I'm proud of you for sure. And obviously there is big space for improvement. So this is just the beginning. There is much more you can achieve throughout all the master. So you have to really capture all the opportunities that were given to you to consider this presentation today and see where you will arrive at the end of all the master. So I'll give the floor to Sabrina.
I have to thank, of course, your tutor, your professor, and the persons who made it possible to realize this. Not only Dominique, Diego, Matteo was your angel, but I have got very impressed by the quality of work you made this year. And this is not for granted. I was really impressed because you joined 2 points in this work. One is the analytical level of study. So it's very important that you give a big, huge, big effort on technicality. The use of particular technicality like R, Power BI, and all the data that, and all the tools that we develop in the data science. So this is a new point in our master and also an innovation. And I'm very, very proud of your application. And the second one is the dimension of economic analysis we put into the master. This is a business school. So you have a general ideal business school, which is not much more keen on this particular topic, because you can think about a manager. They don't need maybe to study a lot and go deeper the economic analysis, which is not useful for a company. This is not true. Our firms and companies are asking more and more about these particular skills. And as soon as you learn these particular skills, you will be ready to lead and manage people in these particular studies, okay? So you're not going to become a PhD student, or maybe, who knows, because in ISTA we had students going out of the master and they started an academic career. But the most important thing is that you have an idea of this work and the effort on it, and you can manage in future this particular statistical research useful for strategic decision in the company. This is the link. Matteo knows it very well. It's very important, strategic, that you have a wide idea, general knowledge about economic analysis. You start and you read newspaper about this. You are very specialized on it, and you can apply for strategic decision in the company. And another point, I was very, very impressed, and I'm very happy with that. I'm convinced that this is a very useful work for our master, is the level of analysis. You didn't stop at the quantity output of the research, so the score, the table, the statistics, but you started to think about what's behind. The reason why a region has the higher number of patents, and the reason why we have the worst. The reason why we have some regions, you can think about the closeness with the universities, research centers, maybe sometimes a patent and the birth of patent is very much close to the research center, or maybe the applicant land of delaying it. So the number of districts, industrial districts, or big companies who are going to use this data. This is the case for Emilia-Romagna, for example. I appreciated very much your work. They were different, but each of them were very peculiar for these particular aspects. The last one in particular, I appreciated the fact that some patents were explained at the end. So it's a sort of magic game you make between a higher level, the macro level, and the micro level. So I speak about the statistics in general, and then I'm going deeper into explaining which kind of patent, also explaining the kind of invention and the kind of research is very important when you have a public presentation. Okay, you may have different people there, sitting there. Their attention may be caught by different points. So I appreciated very much your English. I have to say that I know that some of you are not particularly fluent and I want to improve. I have to say you make a very big effort. So Very, very good. And thanks again.
Okay. You know, I'm a bit shy, especially in English, as Dominic said. Dominic knows, sorry. I want to thank you, all of you. I want to thank you, all the professors that gave you all the instruments, all the tools to have this presentation. I'm also impressed, like Sabrina said, to the final result. I bring you the compliments from Andrea Moretti that he has to leave because he's busy with work. And this is just the first time, the first presentation. So it's a good challenge. I also to thank you for the effort, for the energy you put into this. And this is just the beginning. So in the next few days, you have some more presentations from the next week, coming from the next week. And then on January, you will be challenged with companies. So I am very proud of you. You have some tricks, you have some suggestions, then I give you later. And thank you very much. Thank you to Dominic, that is the main owner of this project. And that's it. You know, I am a bit shy in English.